Woodbridge Conservation Commission. It's a regular meeting on Thursday, March 5th, 2026 at the Town Hall. And I'm calling the meeting to order, and our first order of business is approval of minutes. I had two corrections, actually. And it's on the paragraph about the patches, the patch project. One is that we're planning on making 200 patches, and the other is that it's an award for those who go to each of the 14 historic trail landmarks. It's not just going on the trail. Does anyone else have a correction? No? Okay. Does anyone want to move to pass the minutes? Make a motion?
I will make a motion to accept the minutes.
Second.
Okay. All in favor?
Second.
Public comment, it doesn't look like we have any public comment. What's happening? I have a one what's happening thing. As we know that Earth Day's on the 25th of April, right around the town center. I don't know if they've chosen the exact location of different booths, but in addition to that, sustainability is doing a Rid Litter Day, which I think could be really popular and engaged in. I've talked to a few middle school teachers about promoting it. But Ben, you have school-age children, right? Is there any way you could let their teachers know?
Yeah, I
Or
could.
send a note to the principal? And I just feel like it would be really nice to really have as much litter picked up as possible, and especially on what I've found personally is on major routes like 243 and Litchfield Turnpike. Those are where a lot of the litter is. So, and people are going to stake out where they are doing it, and then Public Works will come and pick up the litter.
I'd be happy to send an email to.
Oh, right.
Someone committee litter.
To whom?
To the teacher principal.
Great.
Do we have formal language outline? Could I?
Well, I haven't talked to Hillary. This is really the Sustainability Committee's vision, and you might want to talk to her first. I'm just trying to extend the reach of that because I haven't heard that much publicity about it, and
Right.
I think families and stuff need to kind of think about it a little ahead.
Yeah, that was my question, because if I reach out to them, I want to send them a link.
Yeah. Be
or,
precise.
with
Yeah.
some information.
No, I think maybe I'll give you Hillary's number,
Okay.
and maybe we can coordinate with her because, and I'm also going to do that I did that for the person who's who's a science teacher in the middle school, who I think would be a good resource.
Are they actually going to hold this on Earth Day?
I think so. I don't know that you have to do it on Earth Day, but maybe that Monday or Tuesday they're going to pick it up the
Yeah.
litter.
So
And that would be a good thing if you do talk to Hillary, maybe you could actually fill us in on the details of it exactly, so that we publicize accurate information. Anything else anyone has anything at Massaro we should know about?
We're gearing up for Rock to Rock as usual.
Oh, right,
and,
Rock to Rock.
Other than that.
the 29th of this month, the Historical Society is having an open house, which is revolutionary breakfast. It's going to be a little late breakfast, but it's going to be there.
That's what's so revolutionary about it.
Right. Makes it revolutionary.
Before there was lunch.
And we're actually going to have the Declaration of Independence out on display.
Wow.
Cool.
The actual one. I mean, not the one from Washington D.C., but the broadside that we own.
It's called the Broadside.
It's called the broadside. The first printings,
Oh,
as they came up from Philadelphia, New York, New Haven, Boston.
cool.
They're
What
not
date is
out of the
that?
newspaper, in other words, they're like posters,
Uh-huh.
which is what we have. And we're also featuring several pieces of furniture or whatever that we have from revolutionary times.
In honor of the
Anyway,
250th anniversary.
Everybody's invited, 2 to 4 on the 29th.
Great.
March 29th?
Pardon?
March 29th?
March 29th. It's a Sunday, I believe.
Okay. So let's move on to old business, Earth Day. I thought we could flush out Earth Day since we only have one more meeting before then. And the different topics are scheduling, shrub and trees as gift, booth handouts, and making a sign. So I don't have the exact hours, but I think it's like probably 9 to 3 would be my guess. And maybe we could be 2 different shifts. And some people might need to get there a little early to set up a booth and take down a booth. But how does that sound to people?
Yeah.
Um,
I mean, I can take 12 to 3
Okay,
if we're splitting things up.
okay. Secretary, do you want to commit us in blood to this?
All right.
So I can't deny it later.
Uh-huh. I can take 8:30 to 12. What time were you gonna start? 12:30?
I mean, I can come a little earlier.
Okay, yeah, we'll overlap a little bit.
Yeah, I'm happy to be either shift. I'm flexible.
And I can do either shift.
Okay, you guys can decide. What do you want? I'm getting commitments here.
I'll do the early one, I guess.
Sounds good.
Okay,
I'll take later.
it's the male and female version of
So you said you'd go later?
Yeah.
Yeah, okay.
And are you gonna be around?
I think,
Or were you in Rock to Rock?
usually Rock to Rock, you know, I can leave before, they have a green fair until 2 o'clock, but, you know, I think I can usually leave before that.
Okay.
So possibly I can at least come towards the end and help.
Well,
clean
that
up.
would be great, cause everything, that
Yeah.
would be really helpful if you're not too tired from everything else.
Yeah.
Cause it sort of dribbles out and it's hard to wanna stay, and
Yeah.
it's nice to have a
Yeah.
little like, new vitality.
I don't know how
Much vitality.
how much
you'll bring.
vitality I will have, but yes,
Oh, you
I will
bring
come
vitality
regardless.
every time. And shrubs and trees, with Diana's help, I ordered a bunch of stuff. It's quite expensive, I'm gonna pay for most of it, but, and maybe we can see where the budget's at. And hopefully, it was hard to get them to commit to when they were gonna actually deliver it, which is a little unfortunate. So, we could always take names and have people have a pickup if it isn't there on time. I will pursue that more as we get closer. And some of it is trees, shrubs, and some of it's just perennials, so it's sort of a variety.
And where is it being ordered from?
Arbor something, Arbor House, Arbor. I would bring it, but I didn't. I can text that to you when I get home.
Okay.
It was actually,
I mean, is it something where we could go pick it up if they weren't,
I
or,
don't think so.
no?
it's a little ways away. It seemed like a neat website and really good quality, it's just not nearby. And Rachel was gonna talk about handouts. And I texted her to hope that she could maybe give us an idea, but I mean, everyone chime in, but I thought something about the trails would be good. There's something else.
Did she
What
say?
was it? There was some other thing that. Do you have any thoughts, Ben, or what do we wanna
Yeah.
publicize? We mentioned something.
I was thinking that, you know, if we're going to be highlighting the idea of the 3 properties,
Oh, that's right, that was,
highlighting what we do on those 3 properties, because they aren't all three versions of the same thing.
No, that's the beauty of them.
And the way that our community interacts with those three properties are different. And so highlighting some of those differences, like hiking and dog walking and Alice Newton, dog park, community gardens, Fitzgerald's, sledding, more dog walking at the
Bird
the golf
watching.
course, bird watching. Yeah, I think that's.
Yeah, maybe a little thing about,
It's not just here's these great things we have, but here's the way that you and your life benefits from
Yeah.
interacting with them.
That's a great idea.
Good idea, yeah.
who's gonna manifest that good idea?
I think Rachel will, right? But,
Okay.
This is why you always come to a meeting.
Okay, put Rachel on there. Little blurb about each of the properties, and it would be nice to have a map of each of those
So
properties.
are there those little trifolds
There are,
maps?
and we should bring
We
some
have-
of those.
Tons of them.
Yeah. So I think we just brought those so that
Yeah,
people can navigate.
Yeah, it seems like if we had like, 3 poster boards or something with some, pictures of the different activities that you described, and then, some blurbs and a map, something like that.
Chris Sullivan Kathy, you guys can roll off a map, right? You have big map capabilities, so maybe we could do one of Fitzgerald, one of, Alice Newton, and one of, could you
And then
ask
we can do the
Chris
one of-
Sullivan?
I would say come visit us and pull the maps and we'll copy them for you.
Yeah.
She's inundated with
A lot of stuff.
these days. I'm not asking for any favors.
Yeah.
Okay,
Fair.
who wants to do that?
And then we can do, I can get the maps, but
Well,
we
that'd
can
be
do the
great.
map with the trail signs too, the QR signs too, the big one.
Oh,
That's
yeah.
a good
maybe
idea.
that's what Rachel was
Yes.
talking about in her text. Cause she said
Okay.
the handout with the patches,
Uh-huh.
about which would have the map, I think, with the.
Yeah, I think we can have a big one, and then I might be able to get it reduced to a certain extent.
And how about you talk to Rachel about a handout to give to
Yeah,
people?
the idea is, so we don't make this too strict,
Right.
but to kind of give the feeling that you really should visit all of them, and Rachel said she'd make a little form that, and somebody just today, when I was talking about that, mentioned, instead of just checking off that I've been to the Leatherman's site, put the day, put the date you go, so then we can really kind of see when people
Yeah, that could be
gone
fun.
by, et cetera. So, I talked to Rachel about that, just yesterday, and she's
So we
coming up
should
with
have
a
some
form for
forms
us.
there that people could take.
Pardon?
We could have some forms there that people could take.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly,
Okay.
exactly.
And then I'm working on creating a sign. There's lots of options for signs. The one I talked to CVS, and it's 2 feet by it can be any length, but they don't have anything narrower than 2 feet. And I think the length of a table would be good, so like 6 feet. And you can put grommets in it, and I think my husband has a way to hang it up, but I don't know once I'm not around. I mean, the sign can go on into perpetuity. But I have a friend who's an artist who might be able to do a little design and then have it printed on like some kind of plastic, something that you can roll up.
We can always use it on the front of the table too.
Yeah.
like
Well, that's
this
true,
one.
that's why I wanna make it the size of a table.
Yeah, so
Yeah,
it's-
because if we don't know where we're going to be situated,
exactly.
we don't know what kind of infrastructure we're going to have available.
Right, but the tricky thing is how do you tie it on to the front? It will
Well,
have
that we can
grommets so
figure out.
that
Duct
maybe
tape
you
will
can
solve
put
all those.
strings.
That's solvable.
I mean, okay, So what do you guys think about that? And hopefully I'll have a design for next month. Or maybe I'll send it around before then and we can just get it produced before then.
That sounds great.
Sounds good.
And there's another idea of making also a sandwich board. Let's just start with one sign and we can
Yeah.
graduate to, and then we can bring these and just have them all. No. Okay, I think that's all I have about Earth Day.
Great.
We don't know where the booth is gonna be, we don't know. Oh, last year, Valerie, or 2 years ago, Valerie made a quiz. Then we used the same quiz again, but it was kind of something that engaged people. Like 10 questions about, what's the most popular tree in Woodbridge, or, where is the water, what of these 3 places has a waterfall or something. Then maybe Valerie would like to do that again, a different one again.
Yeah, I thought hers was really fun last
Yeah.
time.
Yeah, they really like it.
Quiz Valerie, can you put that? These poor people that aren't here.
Yeah. What else can they do?
So I had suggested, Rachel, because I thought we were talking about handouts, but you were actually talking about signs to go behind the table.
Well, there's 2 different things. There's handouts, like the form.
Right, and I
Maybe
think
a
that's
map.
what she was talking about.
Yes, I think,
looking at.
this sign is
Yeah.
an idea that should be under new business.
New business, right. So the 3 signs of like a map of Alice Newton,
Yeah.
Fitzgerald, and so we can
Yeah, those are different.
give that to Rachel and see what she says.
Okay, sounds good. Next on the agenda is the Fitzgerald Property Forest Grant. Take it away, Ben.
Yeah, so this is a grant from DEEP, and I can't remember the name of it right now, but I submitted on behalf of the town for 2 properties, for Fitzgerald and for the country club property. And so the grant, this was just a request for information. So DEEP wants to actually just find out how much interest there is in this grant, and sort of to figure out, how much money they're going to have to spread around. And so the next steps are, now that we've said we're interested, a forester is going to come out and meet with us and come up with some goals for the property. So the grant pays for, they call it like forest practices, I think. So it's some defined things that we want to do to make our forest more resilient. And then the grant will pay for us to do those things. So, maybe it's, thinning out, an overgrown forest, or removing invasive species, or, whatever. And that's what the forester is going to come out and do, is work with us and figure out, okay, what do we actually want? And he's going to put together a practice plan. And then once we have that, the grant hasn't opened yet, but once they open that, then we're going to submit, and see if we get the money. So that's kind of where we are in the process right now. And so I also want to say, this is not a forest management plan. And so basically they're going to do the practice plan in lieu of a forest management plan. So it's still important that we do a forest management plan for both of these properties. But this will basically get us some money for some of the things we would have wanted to do under that forest management plan that we don't have. So it kind of like gets us moving in one direction, but we still need to get those management
And
plans.
we did put in the budget $8,000 to do a forest management plan, and if I understand correctly, it hasn't been slashed yet. I will try to follow up
Yep,
on
that's
that.
a hopeful sign.
Right,
But-
it made it through the Board of Selectmen, but don't know about the Board of Finance.
Yeah,
We'll hope for the best.
yes, it's worth investing in our land and its health. It's invaluable.
Yep,
as we know.
and both of these properties have been reviewed by DEEP. We have reports for them, and they both, the Fitzgerald has some really important core forests. The country club, as a very rare habitat. So they're both recognized as important habitats, and so we're hoping that we're going to get grants for both of them.
Do we have a ballpark timeline on
I
when
was just gonna
the
ask
forester
Cindy.
might come out?
He's coming. He should be coming out in the next, month or so. So we're trying to get an exact date still.
Okay.
And I think the grant is going to open up. It's either it's going to open in June, or they're going to have decided by June. I'm not sure. So hopefully it just opens by June. But yeah, that's kind of the timeline. So it is going to happen pretty quickly.
When the forester is out here, it might be valuable for us to get their perspective on, you know, if this plan is implemented versus not implemented, what are the prospective outcomes for this property and the ecosystems in it?
Yeah, that's a great
Um,
question.
Yeah.
Because if we're asking the town for funds to support this kind of a plan, I think it will be helpful to our cause to be able to say, you know,
If we don't do this,
exactly, because it sounds like a
This is gonna
thing
happen.
that you're like, you know, if we don't have a forest plan, the forest is still gonna be there, so what's
Well,
the
actually-
real benefit or cost, so.
The Fitzgerald property has, beech leaf disease, birch, always,
beech trees.
Beech.
Leaf curl, yeah.
yeah, and it's not there, it was an exquisite stand, and it's really having a hard time, so it is kind of important. And I
Right.
think we should, I agree with you,
Oh,
that
I
we should
definitely agree with you, but
bring that to
having from
highlight.
the word of a forester, I think
Exactly.
Yeah.
it enhances the message that we're trying to send.
Certainly.
Yep, that's a great question.
So we're on to number 3, CT Deep Trails Patches Project. Do you wanna talk about that?
Yes, as a matter of fact, don't know whether we passed this around before, but there's
I think our big question here
that's a picture of the patch,
is, do we want the zip code on there or not?
and that is the big question.
That, we have a big question to deal with today. And the size of it. It could be 3 inches or 2.5. I mean, it could
That
be
one, I believe, is 3 inches, this one's 2 1/4.
that one's 3 inches, that looks a lot more than 3 inches.
That's a lot bigger than 3 inches, yes.
That's a big 3
I
inches.
know, I was raised on metric, guys, so.
It was 3 inches when it started out on my computer.
So this
Yeah, I think
is
it looks
2
nice.
1/2, 2 1/4?
That's a 2 1/4. I measured that one.
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
So, I don't know, 2.5,
I'm kind of
3?
rooting for 2.5 inch rather than 3. I think the 3 is pretty big.
Can we still have the zip code? I love the zip code.
You
Do
like the zip code is a question, do we want it or don't we want it?
Ann wants it.
I like it.
It does locate it.
Yeah.
What's,
And there's been a few things over the, that, I think it was Hillary who created those water bottles
Yeah.
during the COVID that said 06525 on the side, and then we had 06525 day, and I think it's kind
our
of a thing
trademark.
here. Yeah. But
It does make
that's
it-
What would
big
be
enough.
the downside to having the zip code? You know, it's,
I didn't, myself personally, I just sort of didn't think it was needed. It says Woodbridge,
Yeah.
and do people really need to know the zip code?
It does locate it.
I don't disagree with that. It would be cleaner
Yeah.
without it.
I mean, you're not sending the patch to anybody.
Yeah, you could mail it.
So
It's like a
Yes,
return
there's
address.
more utility.
you know, on like a branding question, you know, with 06525 day last year, you know, as a town, are we leaning into the zip code as part of the identity, or is Woodbridge CT sufficient? Because there are more than one Woodbridge, so we definitely need CT.
Right.
Yeah, I agree, the CT wasn't there before, and that was added,
Yeah,
and
no,
that is good.
that's definitely,
Yeah, I always get New
needed.
Jersey when I,
Yeah.
it's like,
Yeah.
this doesn't look
Still
like
in
our town,
New
right? Okay, well, shall we take a vote? I don't care, I'm fine either way.
I'd have to say I'm fine either way as well.
Yeah, I mean, it's not a big deal either way. I like it. I think it adds more character to it and, just more identity. So when I first saw it, I liked it. It made a good impression, but
Okay. Are you okay with the cover?
Hmm?
Are you okay with the zip code being on there?
I'm not gonna,
Kathy, Nick?
I'm not
what do
going to quit.
we have public comment on it.
If we want it, that's fine.
you- Okay.
The other thing, we have 4 different places that we're looking at. I think the 200 are gonna come in just about on the money as far as what we felt we had. They're gonna be iron-on patches. so nobody has to sew anything, but they are gonna be full embroidery.
Great.
And unfortunately, the designer thought that we could get a sample, but the sample really is a photograph. It's not really a sample, so we're just gonna have to,
I think we're just gonna go out on a limb and go for
we're
it.
just gonna have to do it. And we should be able to have them at Earth Day, but I don't know, well, we can't give them out then because we haven't even started the program, but we
Right.
can show people what they are.
Yeah, 'cause that'll be a good motivating factor.
Yeah.
to
And,
know
and then
what's-
have
what's
the
the
little
state.
forms, there that people can take with them and see how fast they come in, and Kathy has to work.
Okay, okay, so I think
I
that,
agree, the 2.5 sounds totally sufficient.
Two and a
okay,
half, yeah.
2.5,
Okay, we'll do 2.5 with
the zip code,
the zip.
and iron-on, and this, I think, completes our DEEP grant, which is a $10,000 grant. I think we've spent the resources, and hopefully the town can get the money back that they've been putting out to allow us to do this, which I think it's gone quite well.
Yeah, you guys have done a great job. I think this was something that was started when I first started, so it's cool to see this, like,
Well, it's
come to
funny because it
fruition.
was started really because we wanted to know how to do a grant,
Right. And we learned.
and we certainly learned.
you got what you asked for.
Yeah, we did.
Right, we did.
But we know what it entails. Just a little, shall I talk about Tim at this point, or
Oh,
we
yeah,
have him
yeah,
back?
yeah.
A little on the side, along with this, Scrog, who does those maps, Tim Austin has been working with somebody and gotten the actual GPS coordinates for each one of the QR signs. And he has done that, completed that, and then Scrog was going to create a map that would have exactly that on it of all of them. So it would be a whole map of Woodbridge with it.
that's really
Unfortunately,
cool.
I just learned from Tim today, and I can just quote here, being a small office, they have been completely consumed over the last 3 or 4 months in the implementation of Connecticut's new housing bill. And so also their GIS person has been pulled full-time into the transportation activities. Their plan and their budget for next fiscal year is funding for all of this stuff. So the whole thing is, we're not gonna have these maps or anything about them for Earth Day, but hopefully next year we'll have it. And Sharon and I were talking and thought that I can come up with a kind of a homemade type of
Yeah.
thing with the coordinates on it, since Tim has them, so we can use them.
Even
We'll
just
get-
like the trailheads.
Pardon?
Even just the trailheads.
Yeah.
And it makes the discovery that much sweeter.
That's right. It's like a real
But that's
eureka.
just the old fashioned in me.
Sounds
Right,
good.
so that's that for that, I think.
Okay,
Unless anybody
our
wants
next agenda item is TPZ. Ben listened to the meeting, a bunch of people listened to the meeting, and Ben, do you wanna?
Just give a recap.
Yeah.
Okay, so there were two big items. The first is that the new housing bill requires the town, or yeah, I think it requires or strongly encourages the town to make some zoning changes in the business district by, I think it's July. And those need to be sort of like complete by July, and so, they were sort of scheduling out, when certain things need to happen, and so things have to happen pretty quickly. And this was around that, those rules that we talked about last time where, a builder can make up to,
Nine.
build a building up to 9 units by right. And then if the town wants a say in how those units or how those buildings look, they have to have the zoning in place for it. And so this is sort of like, TPZ is really focused on this right now. And so where we come in is they want to have a meeting with various commissions, they want to have like a joint meeting with all the commissions or several commissions, including us, to just get our feedback. So I think this is a good thing. I mean, I think it's really great that they're reaching out. I think there were some messages crossed because it was communicated in the meeting that we knew about it and we were all in. This was, we hadn't heard about it, but we are all in, so that's all good. So we're just sort of waiting to hear more about what
Can
that
I-
meeting's going to look like. And
I think we need to think about or find out from someone what we need to do to be prepared to talk about it
Yeah.
in an intelligent way, because I really haven't thought about zoning for the business district under these kind of constraints.
yeah,
I don't
I can talk to that a little bit. So in the meeting, Jeff and some others referred to an analysis by, I can't remember the organization, some regional housing organization, I think, that did an analysis of the new housing bill, and it's in the form of a presentation, I think. And so he recommended that everybody on TPZ should go over that, and that's probably something that we should go over for that meeting as well. And then secondly, there's a memo that the town planner went over in the last TPZ meeting, and that gives sort of like three, I don't know, ways forward or different options for TPZ to look at how Woodbridge should react to the bill. And so Chris has sent me that memo.
Chris
and
Sullivan.
Chris Sullivan, yeah.
Uh-huh.
And then we also have that presentation that I referenced earlier. So those could be the materials that we should go over, but maybe we should, we can go over them if we want to, but we should confirm like what exactly they want from us and what we should go over.
Yeah, if they're gonna be convening a multi-commission meeting with an agenda, it would be nice to have that agenda.
Yeah,
Sounds-
it sounds to me though
materials.
like they want it to happen quickly, like in the next couple of weeks. So
Okay.
it could be that they say, here's the materials, but the meeting is in 2 days. So just it might be worth it to look over those ahead of time and just kind of be prepared.
Yeah, because I don't really know what kind of guidelines. I mean, they must be able to get other towns that are really working on this also to collaborate with, or ones that are further ahead to get ideas of what, because it's a pretty novice
They did ask
T-
that. It sounds like
TPZ
all the
view
towns are
group.
scrambling right now because they're all reacting on the same timeline.
Right, but some have
So-
more resources to react with.
Yeah. I mean, it seems to me like, development in the business district is, consistent with our ideas for, conservation-friendly housing. So, I feel like, to me, this is a good thing without knowing a lot more details, but.
Well, but it might be nice to say that there should be a certain amount of greenery, or there should be a certain landscaping, or there should be a certain solar,
Mhm. Yeah.
things to make it environmentally more friendly.
Right.
Or an affordable housing component, I think that's,
Yeah,
important.
for sure.
And or like we do have to think about the West River is down there.
It floods. I don't know
So
if these guys-
and also we don't want detrimental impacts of the West River. That kind of goes
It's
through
been
the
pretty
business
much
district.
developed all along it
Yeah.
at this point,
So
And
both
then the second
old
part,
and new.
okay, so the second part was a bit of a surprise. So the TPZ in particular, Jeff has been talking about having a separate, what is it called, a subcommittee made up of various members of boards and even members of the public to review the POCD and give feedback, and with the idea that that feedback would be incorporated to the POCD. So I want to say I think that's great. I mean, Jeff is doing a great job by, making that, trying to make that happen. it went in a different way in the meeting. So several commissioners said, they didn't think it was a good idea, and ultimately they shelved it. So they didn't say we're not going to do it. They said we're going to shelve it. So there was two reasons why they wanted to shelve it, and I don't think they're great reasons. I'll try to paraphrase. So one of them was some commissioners said, hey, there was ample time for people to comment on this. Why do they need more time to comment? My response to that was, that wasn't the criticism. It was people commented, but nobody listened to the comments.
Right,
So,
exactly.
so we still need an opportunity to try to get the changes that we wanted in the POCD. So the other one was, hey, we've got these other zoning changes coming up, and it's so much work, up until July. Why are we doing this too? Why don't we wait till after July to get this going? My answer to that is, it's a subcommittee made up of mostly non-TPZ members, and so that committee could be doing things in parallel. And then once we don't have to hear, they don't have to hear from the subcommittee until after the zoning changes. But at least the subcommittee has a chance to make a bunch of meetings and talk about it. And they talked about 9 meetings, so that could be 9 months. So so I'm not sure why those things can't happen in parallel. But anyway, those were the main 2 reasons, and for that they
remember
decided not
another
to.
reason that another person said when I listened to it is that, let's say they come up with lots of suggestions and we don't like them, it will just make them people more angry at us. And I mean, that's an interesting thought, but I think that we're just trying to make it a better document, and if we collaborate, I think that's we're not at so much risk for that. It's only if it's controversial, and I think a lot of things that we'd like to add are pretty basic and accurate, and like there needs to be a picture of the watershed, because it's critical. We have we have all that water company property and we know we have a flooding problem with West River, and we know that rains and with sustainability, it would be good for people to know that. And another thing would be what we could be included on and be more helpful with some of the action plans. I went over this, and I think we've been excluded from things that we importantly should be part of, and I would think they would like our help on some of those things and us to be partially responsible for some of them. So I don't see that as being a great problem.
So my understanding is that the Board of Selectmen requested a revised document. Am I correct in understanding that they are saying we'll do that later?
So
You're
the
not
Board of
committing to it
Selectmen
later.
doesn't have any power, though, to request they
That's right, they're independent, so they don't
yeah,
have the
it's
same
really
role that we have.
TPZ's document, and they decide.
Board of
So
Selectmen can,
they did reject it, and that was brought up in the discussion, and they said, well, we updated it. So
I also think there just needs to be clarity and understanding about how the surveys are interpreted, and how those numbers are being used, and
Right.
and I think the Board of Selectmen has some influence. I mean, they did appoint these people, and they can unappoint these people. I mean, they have some. I mean, it's at their request that these people are serving in this for any of us.
So I guess the question is, it does sound like there is contemplation that this will happen, in the summer. It's actually even in the POCD that they're gonna convene a subcommittee and update the POCD. It's written in here. And I think they kind of have to, based on the new housing bill anyway.
I think
So-
that's why I was confused when you said it was rejected, because it was approved knowing that it was going to be revised.
Right.
That was what I read. So
But that
not
was
it
the
was
agreement that-
rejected.
Yeah.
Well,
that was all
but
of
it
our
was
understanding.
rejected,
Well,
Earlier.
Earlier.
It was revised after it was
Okay.
and it
rejected.
was.
But it was
Yeah.
But
also,
Slightly
the one that's
revised.
approved as of January 1st.
but there was always the
2026.
discussion that this isn't a final document. We know it needs improvement. We're willing to work with everybody. We really understand that. It's an important thing that we get it a little bit better by the Board of Selectmen and by the, I don't know how the TPZ felt about it so much, but they were, I mean, I spoke to Jeff and he was, I think, fully intending to have this committee and subcommittee and, you know, so it's a
So,
surprise.
I
and-
guess my question is it something we want to do to try to push for this committee to happen now? Or is it enough to wait and see if it happens in summer, and then if it doesn't, push then? Because it,
I'm a little worried about letting too much time go by, but what I think
Right.
mostly is that we should do our work and get what we think needs to be changed so that we can get it, we're prepared.
Yeah.
And that we give them the benefit of our wisdom and we're ready with it. And
Because
I-
we can do that with or without it. So-
Right.
yeah, and I think we need to do it.
And if we,
regardless.
are prepared, then if they say, okay, subcommittee's being formed, we're meeting tomorrow, we're there, we're ready with,
Yep, sounds
with
good.
what's needed. So,
And I think we can, if we have a really clear understanding, we can interject some of it into some of the other things that we'll be involved with. So, yeah. So I'm gonna try to talk to Jeff Kennedy and see if, like you said, a subcommittee does not take much time away from TPZ. We don't want it, we understand that they have a big haul. That doesn't mean that we can't get some of their input and get clarity.
Yeah, they were gonna put 2 members on, but, you know, again, that's just 2 members, not the whole committee.
Right. And that we get as much understanding and clarity as we can to improve it as a document from our perspective. And, you know, it isn't just like we're any committee, it is the plan of conservation and development. I mean, I don't really want to forget that. And also, what resource does this town have except for its land? I mean, that is what this town is, so it seems important to, you know, take care of it and give them, anyway. And one more thing, a lot of the goals are already written in. I mean, it's not like we need to recreate the goals, it means we need to integrate the goals into the other parts of the document so that they're noticed when the document is being reviewed, from my perspective. Anything else about that?
no, but I do like that statement. What resources does the town have except its land?
So you'll reach out chair to chair, and keep us posted on any updates regarding joint meetings or, plan for input.
Well, yeah, and I think maybe by the end of this meeting, we should plan to take on another 1 or 2 parts or have somehow a way of communicating with each other about edits that we think would be good. Do you agree with that?
Yeah, I mean, I think we should just kind of keep discussing it until we're done. You know, like, we'll talk about the first 2 chapters today, and then just keep going until we're done, or we need to scramble and get it done because they formed the committee or whatever.
Okay.
That sounds good.
So Friends of Conservation. Do you want to talk about that?
So do we want to actually have so number 5 is the plan of conservation development discussion, which is actually like talking about the content.
Right.
I mean, so I don't know if everybody read. I got most of the way through 1 and 2. I do have
Me
a bunch
too.
of stuff to talk about, so I mean, do you guys want to do that now, or are we prepared?
I'm not prepared.
How about we get through all the old business and then do it at the end of the old business? I think the rest of it's gonna be pretty quick.
That
Does
sounds good.
sound-
Yeah, because this is going to be more substantial.
Yeah. And I think a lot of the new business is pretty, we need to get to it, but it's not that time consuming. So Friends of Conservation, do you want to speak to that?
I'll let you talk about it.
I think the idea is that we would like to have people who are enthusiastic about conserving the town to have a way to contribute to that. If we have a project or we have something that, an outreach of things that we could use some more people power for, like maybe an invasive species day, or getting some more insight into something, or helping with open space, and that we have people who are interested in that. And that is, I think, where we're going with that, and maybe we can see if people are interested in that. How does that sound to other people?
No, I think it,
And maybe somebody who has been involved in conservation in the past might want to spearhead it, and I think we'd have to check in with people and see if anyone had that interest.
And I think if we're getting forest plans, or I forget what the specific title you mentioned for Fitzgerald and the Country Club, then there will be a list of actions that we should be taking. Some may be covered by grant funding, some we may be responsible in other ways to make sure that it happens.
Right, and
So
like,
I think that gives it a more concrete framing, because it's something that I've struggled with since we've talked about this a couple times, and each time I'm a little bit like, what exactly is this group going to do? But I think if we have these plans, and we're like, we need help implementing these, then I think that's a concrete, at least starting point.
right, I don't think we have the concrete starting point yet, but
Yeah.
we're cultivating it with, as our scope is larger, we need to have people who are interested in
Right.
helping us out.
But I think if we're inviting people to become members in something, having an explicit
Right,
action item or goal gives that organization form. Otherwise,
right.
it's a nice thing.
I think we're in that hover stage before we're, I don't know how other people feel, but it's an idea that we think that more resources of human people who are interested could be helpful, and we just don't know how to, but
Yeah.
we'd like to be in touch with those people so that
Right.
at some point.
But I agree, I just feel like it doesn't have enough, you know, and what differentiates it from other organizations in town that are definitely overlapping. So, you know, just so we can have a story.
Yeah. So maybe we can, I mean, there's no urgency with this, we can ruminate about it a
Yep.
little bit.
And what I'm hoping is that if we keep talking about it, somebody will say, I want to lead that organization. And then we can, really work with them to define what it's going to look like. Because I think, a lot of it is going to come from whoever leads it, or whatever group leads it. So that would be an ideal situation. So anybody out there looking or watching this, there's a role for you.
Good point. So the next thing is report by commissioner members from other commission activities. We've had TPZ. There was the Board of Selectmen.
Yeah, they've been very busy with budgetary issues. So
Yeah,
not-
I haven't watched them at all. It just seems like it's all these special meetings and
yeah, so
specific things.
I've kind of skimmed through agendas to look for issues. I listened to one of their early February meetings. Nothing explicitly conservation related. The one question I had was regarding the town charter that is undergoing revisions.
Oh, right.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know enough about the charter to know if that's something that we should be weighing in on.
Question.
We probably should be.
We should
Yeah, it's a
certainly
good point.
review it and see if we should be weighing in
Yeah.
on it.
So we should
That's-
put that in next month's,
I
I've
think
never even seen the town charter.
I think the way the process works is that they've nominated like a committee to work on
They
it.
have a committee, yeah.
And then that committee decides what updates they're gonna make or what they're gonna focus on, and the Board of Selectmen submits their request to the committee, but then it's like up to the committee to, you know, take that or not. And then they're also gonna have public comment where people also come in. So, but yeah, that's a really good
So
point.
there's
We
gonna
should
be-
probably have
yeah.
some opinions.
There's gonna be public hearings at both ends, both at the beginning when they're kind of forming these
March
ideas.
30th.
Sorry?
March 30th.
There we go, March
Oh,
30th.
wow, it's coming up.
I'm their note taker too. So,
Right.
And then
that'll be the first one.
after they come up with a list of revisions, it goes back to the Board of Selectmen, and then there will be a period of public comment.
And
I think they are talking January 2027, for kind of target revisions being drafted. And then that will go either line item by line item or as a bundle to, in other words, eluding me, when we all get to vote on it as a town.
referendum.
There we go, thank you.
So, Anne, I have a request. Could you get the present town charter and get it emailed to all of us? So that we could look at it before
Yeah.
Do we
March
have
30th.
opinions on what? Yeah, I don't know. Are there anything we want changed or added or?
I don't
think
know
I don't
enough
know
to
enough
know.
about it to have opinions
Yeah,
yet,
I don't
but
know
I think
either.
it's something that we should look at.
I think
and-
we should review it, certainly.
Is a tree ordinance? I hear people talk about that all the time. Is
Yeah.
that something that would be in the charter, or is
I
that
think that would be a good question.
Probably not, but
because
There was an ordinance, there was some mention about how
That's
to do an
in
ordinance
the-
just recently.
in the TPZ rules as well.
okay?
So that might be something to present to TPZ at some point too, is our interest in a tree ordinance. Put it on, ask,
We could.
yeah,
Mhm.
that might be the summer event.
Yeah. So maybe everybody individually put on your thinking caps about what
Right.
what we think should change.
Okay, and maybe we should plan on going to that meeting and getting educated, at least some of us. Maybe we can decide who would like to be the delegate or two going to that meeting before this meeting's over. Does anyone know that?
'Cause that will
March
be
30th.
It's
What night, what day of the week is
a
that?
Monday.
It's
Public
Monday.
comments can start about 7:30, I believe. Don't hold me to that, 7:30. No, 7 o'clock, sorry.
Okay. Is anyone in particular interested in that meeting?
I can go to it.
It's not great.
I have nothing on my
Probably.
calendar,
Huh?
so I can go to it.
Well, that'd be great.
Yeah.
I will try to go to it too.
I think that's Val
I will
coming.
just have gotten back. I'll try. So,
I can report that about Coopop, I can't report because I didn't go to it. It was the first one was canceled because of the snowstorm. Then they had it the other night, and that was the day that everybody closed early because of the
and did they
sleep.
cancel it again?
But at one point, Nicole said we're gonna have it anyway, so whether they had,
So
I
I
don't
can
know.
talk about it.
You
oh,
saw
you
it?
can talk about it?
Yeah, they did have it.
They
Yeah,
did have it,
I
okay.
watched most of it. So they talked about, well, they mentioned all these properties, and I thought to myself, Barbara is writing all these down. But so I don't, you know,
I didn't get there.
I wasn't near anywhere that I could write it down, so I don't remember all that. So one that they talked about a lot was the theater lots.
Yeah,
And just that kind of continued discussion of if the town were to foreclose on a bunch of these little tiny ones, they could maybe amass, 10 acres or something.
10 acres.
Don't quote me on the numbers.
Okay.
I thought it was a
Sizable.
reasonable chunk.
I took a look at them on the map because they're right around the corner from it, and it's a decent size if you put them all together.
And so they voted, I think, to allow it for residential, or recommend it for residential and trails.
There are some trails going through there already.
Yeah, and
Yes.
then, so.
That's
Part of the
one reason
greenway.
why it was recommended,
Mhm.
because it does connect some trails
Yeah,
in there.
so that's kind of where, I think they've kind of wrapped that up though, but they're gonna say that the, you know, if the town, you know, wants to do something with that, it's there for residential. You know, I mean, I think some, you know, low density affordable units or something like that would be, you know, probably a fine use. I'd worry that there would be another Fountain Street there,
Mm-hmm.
you know. They mentioned it's not allowed because of zoning and the sewer doesn't go there, but, you know, those things can change, so. And then I know that I have heard that there was some land trust land up there,
Yes, there is.
and, yeah, so I think there's some history with those and the land trust and why certain things were preserved, and so I think it's worth it to, you know, figure out what that is.
And a couple other things, when Paul Harrigan was on the board, we had decided and voted to have money from conservation, because there is a certain amount of money that's in somewhere that we are told we have, but we have to get authorized to use it through the Board of Selectmen, so we voted to use it for $1,500 for a foreclosed lot. And I think it turned out that the Board of Selectmen overrode that and bought it themselves, so there is not, I don't know that there's.
What it really was, that the lot was offered to the town, and we recommended that the town buy it, and
Right.
also several other entities recommended that. The attorney did not recommend it, but the Board of Selectmen agreed, and it was purchased. But it's only one of the
But
little
it was
tiny,
purchased by the Board of Selectmen or by the
by the
conservation
town.
funds? From
Not
the
by
conservation fund?
conservation funds, no, by the
Oh.
town.
So that was we were never told that change had occurred. Okay. And also, some people have raised to my awareness that previously, I don't know if I'm gonna say this correctly, that when town land is sold, it goes into it can't be used to offset recent,
It shouldn't go into the general fund.
it shouldn't go into
right.
the general fund and shouldn't be used, cause I think
Right.
the idea is it's gonna be a stopgap for
That is not
taxes.
a rule, but it's something that
What
has
was
always
that? I'm
been
sorry,
recommended.
can you say that again?
If
What
if
did
the
you say,
town
Sharon?
owns a
Like-
piece of property and they sell it, the money should not go into the general fund or
It should be saved for
even
land
for
or
a specific
acquisition
project.
of
It
the-
should go
Oh,
into the
interesting.
conservation fund.
Yeah.
That's exactly what Nicole was saying they were gonna do with one of the properties, is they were trying to sell it to because their budget, to make the budget whole or something.
Right,
So
and
interesting.
that's controversial.
Yeah.
And maybe not.
I don't think the town has been doing that, but
Has been doing what? Putting
putting
money.
any,
I don't think it's sold many properties.
I don't
has
think it has either.
So I don't know that this has come up
Um,
since that was decided. So we should get some understanding of that. Any other meetings were reviewed? I don't think the EDC had a meeting.
I have a couple other items from Coopop.
Oh, good.
So there was another property, and I don't remember the property, but it was sort of landlocked, and then on the map it said open space, and so they just said, all right, well then that's open space. We got to leave it open space. But I think that kind of brings up the question of, is it protected and how is it deeded? And this is maybe a larger discussion around, I think we kind of need to get a list of all the properties that we care about and, some sort of a database or something, and actually understand, like whether they're protected and what type of protection and how they're deeded
It's
and,
the whole open space program.
Yeah, so,
So
I mean,
we did that with Tim a lot,
Yeah,
but we haven't really carried the information over or
Right.
integrated into what our general knowledge, and I think you're right, that is critical,
It's
especially,
something that needs to be done.
it really needs
It
to be
was-
done.
yeah,
It was
so,
done,
I don't know, Mike, if this is like something that interests you, like,
Do
are-
you like spreadsheets?
yeah,
You do? Oh,
Yep. If you can forward the existing lists and data to me.
well, I think also that, do you know Tim Austin?
I haven't met now.
Okay, he is absolutely devoted to this. He used to be on the commission.
Okay.
And
Did I know him?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
possibly
There's
he,
a lot of names.
he would be, like to work with you on it, and he certainly could,
he's also very involved with the trails,
yeah,
Yes.
with Jason
Yes.
Morrell.
Got it.
yes.
So,
But
yes,
I
I
mean,
think he kind of had it all laid out, and we had gotten 80% of the way through, except for the most critical things at the end, and then Christmas came, and then regime change came, and
Everything, yeah.
just
Okay.
changed. So it might not be that hard to do. And I may have some of that information in boxes as well.
Oh,
And
I
And
know
didn't he
I
have a
did.
Dropbox or something? He put everything into a,
yeah, it's actually on the, linked off the town website,
Mhm.
which
could
is,
you maybe help him find it?
yeah, I can make that connection.
That would be
great.
fabulous.
And then Coopop is also, doing a lot of research and surfacing a lot of this information, and so, we can, it sounds like they don't have it, well, I don't wanna say, I mean, I don't think they have like a neat database of, that we can query and stuff and
Right.
find this information, so we can,
But Nicole would give you information about some of the properties she's
exactly, yeah.
investigated, and she has
They
a
have
lot
the
of it.
information and we can
Yeah,
incorporate
and
it.
they'd have it in depth too.
Mhm.
They've
Yeah.
researched all of the deeds and everything,
Yeah,
so.
they go very deep
So
on
you
these
have-
things.
Mike,
All right, but that's it for me this meeting. I am, that's my biggie.
yeah, that's it.
That's
I
it.
think that's
Wait,
actually a
we're-
really important
that's key.
kind of
No, we're not
long-term
assigning
thing
anything
that
else.
we need, yeah.
I don't think there's much to report about the conservation easement on the Woodbridge Country Club property.
Did you want
Is-
to talk about inland wetlands?
So I
It
had
did
one more
happen.
thing with Coopop.
Oh, I'm sorry.
So,
Terrible.
so this is where I left off, is they were about to have a very in-depth conversation about the country club. So,
Oh,
and they were gonna start it, and then I think it's gonna continue to the next meeting. And so that was probably something else that we're interested in following. I didn't get to anything that they said though. That's just.
you
And
mean you haven't listened to that part, or they didn't say anything?
I haven't listened to the rest of the meeting yet.
Okay.
So, but there wasn't a lot left, so it sounds like it's going to continue to next meeting. But okay, and then that's it for me.
You
for
sure?
Coopop.
Did they bring up the Meese property? Rimmon Road?
I'm not sure. What's the background?
It's a rather large piece of property, one of the biggest pieces left around the town.
Open space.
And it was given to the town by a family name, with the last name of Meese, for a school. And at the time, the town decided that the Rimmon Road was too busy to put a school on it. The whole atmosphere was not correct. So it just was put in abeyance, and nothing's ever been done with this property. But it is very large, and does connect and add to the a lot of the trust property, including that piece that we were involved in when the man was going to subdivide
Oh, right,
over
on
there
Rimmon Road.
off
Yeah, that
of
doesn't ring a-
Osborne Lane and
I don't
Rimmon
think they
Road
talked
and-
about it. That doesn't ring a bell, but
Okay,
you know.
okay.
But it does remind me of another committee that I heard of tangentially, that there's a committee to build a new Beecher Road school for over $100 million.
Oh, yeah.
And
Yeah.
to clear out all of what's the trail's name of the teacher who it was donated to? there's a trail there.
Behind
The trail that
school.
runs around, it's actually in the woods, I saw
Yes.
a
Yeah.
diagram, so in the woods behind, so we
Kaczynski's.
take a section of that trail.
Kaczynski's. So they're gonna wipe that all out, which I think some people are not so happy of, and all the trees. So I think it is an environmental issue as well,
Yeah.
because they're gonna do a lot of cutting if it comes to pass. But I think it will have an impact on lots of the other financial things, like how the country club gets developed, or, I have no idea what I don't think there's ever been anything costing nearly that amount. And that, I think, has to go to a referendum. So a next topic was communication and website, but, Valerie, your sign is here. You see it?
Sorry, I'm late.
Welcome. So, I don't think we are gonna get very far talking about that. Does anyone have any communication or website thoughts?
Wasn't that Rachel?
Yeah,
But,
and the
I
bat
was
house,
gonna- I was gonna connect with Rachel about, I don't know if we passed what we were gonna talk about in terms of the trails. Have we gone through the trails initiative yet?
the Trails
Patches?
Initiative. You mean the deep trail, I don't, say
QR?
more, about the deep, the signage?
Well, just about launching having a marketing program
Yeah,
around
I
the-
put that under new business.
Oh,
It's
okay,
good you're
okay.
here.
Yeah.
But we did give you a task
Oh,
in your absence
wonderful.
to create maybe another quiz for Earth Day.
Okay, what was it, is that the same day as,
That's the,
25th of
April
April.
25th,
you said April 5th?
25th,
25th.
Oh,
It is the same day, yeah.
It's the same day as Rock to Rock?
yeah.
Because my husband and son are in that every year. I think I could
Funny.
do both probably.
Uh-huh, well, I think Ann is in the same boat. But the quiz could be created ahead of time.
Okay. What level should it be? Is it
I don't know.
kids
Yeah,
I
kids,
think that's best.
or a little older?
yeah,
The kids did the best.
I know, I know. Maybe something with landmarks or, I don't know, you did such a good job before. I think the last of old business is the bat houses project, are we?
Yeah, I just want to say something really briefly about that. So, just to kind of keep everybody updated. So, a Girl Scout troop is going to build bat houses, which we think is really great. And so I put them in contact with the person who did the bat survey at the country club, Dr. Devon Frazier, and they've run with it. So
Great.
you know, like.
We like running.
Yeah, so so the other question I want to ask is not to put you on the spot, Mike, but I don't know if you've heard anything about the Boy Scouts or Eagle Scouts or something that's doing the bat houses.
Yes, there's an Eagle Scout project this year to construct bat houses, and they've been in touch with someone from the Parks Department, I believe, about locations. I think they were going to do one at Camp Whitting, one at the transfer station, and I don't recall where the third one was. So I don't know that much about bat houses. If Girl Scout bat houses are the same as an Eagle Scout.
So I'm wondering can I put who's ever in charge of that in touch with this bat biologist? Because
Yeah.
I think she would have she might be able to provide some really great feedback about if they're open to it, and and I think it would also be good if she just kind of knew the different groups in town that were putting bat houses.
Yeah, for
in
sure.
places.
I'll
Yeah.
give you some contact offline.
Okay,
Great.
Good
Great.
information.
perfect, cool. That's all I wanted to say about that.
New business. So there's been some thought about creating
So
some.
do we want to do the POCD discussion
Oh,
as
right.
old business? So
Oh, yeah, we should. Okay,
we
yep.
maybe we should put a time limit on
I
it.
think we should put a time limit on it. What's our time limit? What?
Even though the Adidas new business,
You can leave?
Yeah, because there's nothing for me to say except you guys are discussing the P O C D.
Okay, so let's give ourselves
could do that,
15
yeah.
minutes to do, not that you want to leave us, right? That would be so sad. The idea of, and I think we can maybe vote on this or just discuss, I don't know if it requires a vote, but having a liaison with the Sustainability Committee. Given that we do overlap and that there's similar interests, and it would be easy that we don't have to go to all those meetings. If they had a liaison that was interested in coming here, that would sort of improve our efficiency and theirs as well. So I thought I'd reach out to Hillary, and who's the chair of that committee, and see if they're interested. And I heard that they might be. So, and I don't know if they'd have different people or one specific person, but I think that would be great. What do you guys think?
Well, it would be very similar to us going to Coopop and so
Right.
forth. It'd be exactly the same thing, so, yeah, I think the more
Mhm.
people from other committees that interact, are
Agree.
the better.
Yep.
Absolutely.
I think so. Yeah, when we had that joint meeting, like we hadn't interacted with them a lot, but like there's so much overlap. I just thought it was a great meeting and good synergy and all that.
Shall we vote on it just to make it official? Does anyone wanna?
So the vote is requesting that someone from the sustainability committee
See if they're interested, yes, to,
attend our meetings.
yeah, at least some of the time. They,
Right.
we don't always make it to Coopop, but whether there's more interaction and more, cohesion.
Mhm.
Does
Are we
anyone wanna
proposing the
move?
reverse as well?
Any more discussion? What?
Are we proposing the reverse as well?
No, cause they can bring to us what they've been doing too, so I think that we may not need
One
to,
person,
and nothing happens so quickly with that.
So,
Yeah.
could I propose either an addition or a variant of this idea? Because, something that we've been talking about a lot is our ability to know what other bodies in the town are doing. And we've been doing a pretty good job of watching most of the meetings. All of these bodies have formal minutes that are written up following their meetings. Could we have, as an addendum to our agenda, the minutes of those meetings?
I have a comment about that. I think we can, but I think as Kathy would let you know, that a lot of it is just what they voted on, and you really don't get much perspective on what was really discussed.
Actually, just go on the town website under everybody's meeting and your minutes are there.
Yeah.
Well, that's
minutes are
also
there,
true.
yeah.
You can get updates too, actually, if you sign up for. I've signed up for a bunch of the meeting updates, and so whenever the minutes are posted.
Minutes don't go into detail.
Okay.
Yeah.
It's nothing like being at the meeting.
Yeah.
And the liaisons do tend to go into more detail, because they're kind of talk
Right.
about the nuance, they don't talk
Yep.
about just what got
Both
voted.
ways.
So
Totally
it's,
valid.
we'd hope that that would do it, and are the Board of Selectmen meetings notes more thorough, or not really?
Not particularly. no.
Okay, all right.
The other thing is the minutes often lag quite a bit, sometimes months behind the actual meeting. So, you might get a meeting from, November of last year.
No, fair
Come
enough,
out
and,
today,
and
so.
I appreciate the discussion. I just, before
No, it's
we
a
start
good
asking
problem-solving idea.
other volunteers for more volunteering.
I think sustainability would like to, I don't think we're asking a lot of them,
Mhm.
and they might not be here all the time, it's
think
just
it's a
giving
great
them the
idea.
doorway.
Yeah.
So, do we have a motion? Can anyone, do we have a first or a second on this?
We need a
Yeah.
motion.
I have a motion that we have sustainability, create a liaison with sustainability so that we can share communication more effectively.
I
I
second.
second it.
Hold on, who's second?
Barbara.
We had 2 seconds. Second.
Barbara and Valerie.
And any discussion? No, a vote? All for? Anyone opposed? Unanimous. I have a suggestion for a second liaison, and that is to housing, at least in the time when this housing issue is so involved. And, it may not always be needed, but I think right now, if someone from housing wanted to discuss what they're doing and get our perspective so that there'd be more coordination, that could be quite useful.
Yeah, I thought I was doing that and they haven't had a meeting yet.
I was thinking
meeting
something from someone from them.
Will come to us.
Not that you couldn't go hear that too, especially if
Right.
they weren't gonna come, that would be really important.
Mhm.
So you and they could work together on that. I'm not trying to not have you be involved, I think that they'd be more steeped in the nuance that we could benefit from if someone from housing wanted to be here. So I move that we, initiate the idea of having a liaison with housing.
I'll second that.
Same thing.
Could we have a brief discussion on that?
Sure.
Because again, I love the idea. I'm all for better interconnectivity. I think the synergies are less obvious to the not us's in that relationship. And so it may be more productive rather than just a welcoming of a liaison, but that there be a more specific ask of, you
There
know,
is a specific.
so we would be asking a representative of that committee to present to us the current, sorry,
Decision-making and discussions that housing is having.
I think, also I agree that it should be, we should offer an extension for them to come. We can't really mandate that they
No,
have to,
right.
Yeah, it's
they
up
have
to
to
them, yeah.
accept it.
yes,
But we can offer
right,
them
that's
to
what we're
come.
doing. We're offering that
It-
someone from housing, if they're interested, could
Offer,
come and
okay.
share so that we can stay more.
I think if we had a liaison, we could make specific asks. You know, like, it would just be a lot easier if we had a liaison and we could say, hey, we want to know, can you talk to us about what you're thinking for the housing growth plan or something like that? And then they can kind of come prepared.
How are you figuring
Okay.
out that ADUs are,
Mhm.
yeah,
Yeah.
are you researching that?
That makes sense. So it's a formalized relationship in which specific asks can be made. And so just to be explicit about it, what do they get out of it? What value
Well,
do they get from having a liaison?
I think
with
if
our
they
committee?
had our, no, I don't know even if it's agreement, but if they knew that there were no big red herrings, that things would go much more smoothly for them getting, because certainly lots of people believe in conservation,
Mhm.
and it's thwarted many of the intentions because they didn't take conservation into consideration to the degree that I think a lot of people in the community think it's really important.
Okay.
Would you agree? Would other people
Yeah,
agree
I
with
think
that?
several commissions, including housing, has realized that they really do need to reach out to conservation and kind of understand, you know, the conservation perspective. So I think it would be pretty valuable to them.
Excellent.
And I think we did have a joint meeting with them also, and we
Okay.
did all agree that it would be better all the way around if we worked together on
Mhm.
things instead of somebody coming up with some idea and the other commission saying, hell, no, or whatever, so
Right.
we could
Mhm.
discuss back and forth,
Yep.
at least bring our thoughts back and forth.
Excellent. Thanks.
Sure, good question. We have a vote, we have a second, so, all in
I second
favor?
it.
Okay,
Who's second?
Perfect.
okay,
How are we going to offer that invitation? Is someone going to write a letter, or who's going to approach?
I think there's already somebody interested, and I think that I'll talk to the chairperson and see if how that feels, you know,
For both.
for both. I just wanna start this thought, and it's a bigger thought, and it fits in with the open space thought. But it's the project PA 490, and I called the Connecticut Farm Bureau Association and got their booklet. I thought it was, I went to the assessor's office and she held up something, this is my only copy, and okay. So I called them, and I didn't even get to see in it, but it's pretty dense. And I figure if we're gonna try, through open space, to try to encourage people utilizing this possibility to decrease their taxes, we have to know a lot more about it. So I don't think that this is the right time to discuss it, since we have many other things, but maybe in a couple months we could Xerox some of these pages, and there's farmland and open space and forest, and I think if we're knowledgeable about it, we can disseminate that knowledge and start the process of maybe people wanting to incorporate their land. And this is a list of the open space, people have it under open space, they have it under forest, and I think they have it under farming. And this would be a really good place to start with the open space plan. And Marcy, I think is the woman's name, said she hasn't really reviewed all these, whether they're still on there or not, so I think it's a list in flux. I also think that if there's a large piece of land that we're very interested in, if we get more sophisticated, we could maybe reach out with 2 or 3 of us and say, what do you guys think? This is how this works, this is the application, this is the benefit, but I think we have to become at least I need to become much more knowledgeable before I can think that it's good for somebody else.
Can you paraphrase what this is about? Is this about land use and perhaps getting lower taxes?
So current use tax law for farmland, forest land, and open space. So people who have a fair amount of land who don't want to pay the top tax bracket for that whole land can designate it as forest land, open space, or farmland, and they get a decrease in their taxes as a result of that. And that also means that they're not intending to develop it for other reasons, which preserves it in a more natural state, which is what we feel like is very valuable. So us promoting that seems like and us becoming knowledgeable about the pieces of property that are in that and that might be in that also seem
There are a lot
relevant.
of pieces of property around town that are not included in that. Because the program, the owner has to initiate the idea. They have to go to the tax office and say, hey, I've got 5 acres of land that's over and above my
minimum
house
lot.
property, and I wanna put it on open space. It's not much more than that.
No, I don't think it's very.
You don't have to do much of anything, except to say that you want it put on open space.
Yeah, and I think another leg of this is, are there pieces of property where people are getting to the phase where it's too much for them to have that land? And could we propose, where there's possibly grant money that could create a easement that keeps it as open space. They keep having control of it, but they get a little money, so it makes it less of a burden to have that land. So this could have many arms, and I think to me that's just the beginning of trying to figure out the lay of the land. And the good news is there aren't hundreds and hundreds of them, there's just some. So, we have a small town, so it's more manageable in my perspective because of that. So that was, and so I think we should make this old business another time, and maybe we can, Kathy, maybe you could Xerox a few pages of this, and we could kind of learn a little bit more about it.
I think there's also resources on CT.gov.
Oh, good. Yeah, I think this might just be the
scan.
tip of the iceberg.
Yeah.
So we kind of, so actually in this vein, I think we went quickly over the conservation easement on the Woodbridge Country Club. I did have 2 thoughts on that. Are we allowed to go back to that? So just an understanding, like, how can we protect, what are different mechanisms for protecting things? It does feel like this is important to keep going, and it's kind of stalled a little bit. So I was trying to think of, like, what could we do to move things forward? So one of the things I thought of was that there was some discussion about maybe we would use, or a possibility is the Massaro model of, I think maybe the land trust owns something in the town.
The town and the land trust own it in combination.
So one idea is maybe, and maybe you're familiar with this and you could talk to us next meeting in more detail
I
about.
can get familiar with
Well,
it.
yeah.
I mean, I know basically that's the case, and there's easements
Mhm.
and all
Yeah,
that
so
stuff,
maybe
so,
we can have that discussion.
but I can get the
about-
details.
One of the concerns is the easement, an easement on a piece of property has to be, agreed to by the owner of the property. They are the ones that seek the easement. So this is a possible problem with the country club, the former country club, because
Well, it would have to
it's
be the
not-
town that seeks the easement.
The town would
Yeah.
have to seek the easement, yes.
Um,
And then it's not difficult to get at all. And it is probably the best protection you can have. Because it just can't be broken unless the court breaks it.
so, yeah, I didn't want to have the conversation now, but maybe we could, that would be, the other.
Queuing it up.
The other thing we could possibly queue up is maybe we could have somebody from the land trust just come and talk to us about how do they, like, what are the mechanisms they use to protect land and what are options there and that sort of thing. But maybe that would be some impetus to
Maybe two people
get
from the
this
land
moving
trust.
again.
I think we need breadth there.
Yeah,
Okay.
so
So I think we're queuing up some, like, we're hopefully gonna dig into this soon. Each meeting, we can have a little topic, Massaro and that thing, you know, POCD, I mean, the PA 490. It seems like we have the next 6 months of those, which they might get shoved off as we have the task force for the transit district may take prominence. Yeah.
I have a question. I mean, in past years, there have been, I guess, surveys and studies. I never saw the results to them in terms of, I know where we stand with the Woodbridge Country Club, but in terms of the general population of Woodbridge, where did the general population of Woodbridge feel?
Well, there was a survey that is referenced to a lot in the POCD, and it's an interesting survey. Somewhat, not totally unflawed, but it's referenced in the new POCD a lot. But in the 2024 unapproved version, they have it, I think, in a lot of detail. I might even have it here for you. You could look at it. But they go line by line of each of the here. This is all the results of the survey. All these pages here are all
Wonderful.
pages of the survey. So I could lend this to you if you want.
But you don't know offhand what the, was it, did it come down on which
Well,
side, or is it?
It's more complicated than that. I mean, it came down with valuing natural space, education, and recreation, I think, or the business district. And how it was depicted in the new POCD is one of the things that we could discuss, because to me there's lots of ways to interpret a survey, and I think I'd like to bring to light some other options. But Val, we're gonna so can you briefly talk about your proposal? Can you do that in a brief?
About the marketing
Yeah.
and everything.
Well, first of all, I should tell you that all the money for the grant has been used.
Oh.
So I don't know how much money this would happen if there's another way to get money for it. But the patches and the design of the patches, I don't think we realize how much the design of the patches cost. And also the Historic Society hadn't been paid. So that was something that I didn't realize. So, but it doesn't mean your idea is not a bad idea, and that maybe it could be done, and maybe it doesn't necessarily need to cost a lot of money, or there's another way to get that money.
Yeah, I think that it could be done very cost efficient. It was basically just launching and letting other people know about our trail system, and maybe having speakers. The Historical Society could be one. Perhaps somebody from Connecticut Deep, someone from the Conservation Committee, and just talking about the trail system, kind of launching it out there, talking to, putting it on our website, Rachel, and then like marketing it so that people will know about it. and then just have a little, I wanted to have a drum circle. I had contacted this gentleman, I talked to him again today, I emailed all of you the information, this evening about the drum circle.
I don't think we've seen it.
You may not have, you may not have seen it. And he's still willing to do it. I thought it could be the end of May or the beginning of June. I'm not sure when Trails Day is exactly. But just having, and I was thinking maybe in the Woodbridge Library in the community room, and just, having maybe a 1.5, 2 hour presentation about our trail thing and just capping it off and launching the whole thing that way. His
Sounds
fee is only
interesting.
$250, and we could have, the kids can come in and the adults, and that was it.
Any thoughts?
I mean, I think it's cool to have a big event to launch the trails. That's nice.
I'm skeptical that there'll be that much interest in that kind. I mean, I think we'd have to really promote it and market it and stuff. But is that something you'd like to take charge of, Valerie?
Yeah, I don't mind doing it as long as we can put it on our website, and yeah, it doesn't have to be. I think the library's had a lot of nice events there, so
You have to see whether it's open for it.
yeah, I was going to talk to you about that our question today, to see if it's
Well,
open.
why not? How about if you cultivate the idea more, and the April, if we have to make a decision, because if you want to promote it for late May, we'd need that kind of timing.
Mm-hmm.
I feel like my bandwidth is pretty spread thin, so I don't have the energy for it, but I think that might, it would be, I'm all for
Yeah, it wouldn't be
community
anything
gathering.
big. Just something maybe an hour and a half, 2 hours.
Uh-huh.
Then we, and then inviting maybe different communities, the Boy Scouts, the Girl Scouts. That, yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
Mhm.
Program to help migratory birds. I thought, I went to a lecture on dark skies, and I think it says deep dark skies, but there's a man who came, and this is something I think we might want to do with sustainability, is give a program just for an evening and have this guy come speak. Time is a little bit of the essence in that migratory birds start migrating pretty soon, but maybe we should aim for the fall for that. But it just talks about how much the ambient light really throws them off, and windows, and the billions of birds that are dying, and like you said, like your article said, just, well, so is that worth me pursuing a little bit for some point?
Is this, I mean, could this be like a community thing?
Oh, yeah, it would
So,
be a community thing.
okay.
It would be like what Val's talking about, it would be a different,
Mhm.
another outreach.
Yeah, it's like an educational opportunity of
Yeah, I think it's great.
how
Yeah,
our everyday
he has a
actions.
whole slideshow, and he's pretty good, and
Yeah.
I learned stuff I didn't know.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
Yeah.
we turn off all of our outdoor lights during migratory bird season.
Yeah, I think it's worth doing. Update on wetlands public hearing. It's being continued, they'd like some support. It sounded pretty promising. Well, the people they hired, the interveners hired, from my perspective, were pretty, it made me think that it would have an impact on the wetlands, just because of, if nothing else, just the water distribution that would go towards the wetlands would be severely altered, which would affect the wetlands significantly. And you were there too, any other thoughts on your part about that?
No, but there was, it did go on long, so it's still been postponed to the next meeting, which I
The
think
18th,
might
I
be
think, I have
the
a flyer here,
18th.
if anyone wants it.
So they did not vote on anything.
Right. And the last thing is birdhouses.
Oh, so I can talk about this. So this is coming from a couple of different directions about the possibility of kind of having like birdhouse building workshops, and then putting them up in different places around town. So more specifically, I was talking with somebody from the Audubon Society, and they have a lot of experience with building with designing birdhouses and understanding you know, the exact dimensions of attracting different birds and how to keep predators out and where to put them and stuff like that. And so they said they would be happy to, you know, provide like the technical skill, you know, like give us the plans and then even have somebody come out and, you know, help us understand how to build them and stuff. We would have to, you know, get kind of a group, the manpower together. We'd have to get the materials and, you know, get some carpenters and get some people that work with metal and put them together and then identify some places to put them, you know, around town. So, I mean, in general, these are all bird houses for, you know, rare or endangered birds or birds, you know, bird populations that need help. So, you know, putting these up around town actually really helps those bird populations. And then I think Barbara, you also had some people contacting you around birdhouses on some historical
down on
society
the-
property
on the,
or something. So it's
Near the Darling House.
it's probably a little late this season unless we like really wanted to just focus on getting birdhouses built because the birds are going to start migrating, you know, soonish. But this could be something that we kind of like, you know, prepare for and we're ready for next year is kind of my thought.
Yeah, and you can build them any time of year. They're infrastructure that sticks around, and if we build them in the fall,
So
they
maybe
don't
we
get
should try to
Exactly,
do
yeah.
that as a fall if things haven't
Mhm.
get early fall.
So are we putting bird seed in them or just the birdhouses?
Just the birdhouse.
Yeah, it's usually just the birdhouses.
They're nesting. They're nesting
They're
boxes.
nesting houses.
Right.
Oh, okay.
Mm-hmm.
Places for their young to have a safe
Yeah,
home.
so I don't know, you know, they mentioned bluebirds, several others. One of them they mentioned was purple martin. Have you guys ever been to Hammonasset State Park?
Yeah.
They have like a purple martin kind of it's
Oh,
really cool
right.
actually. It's like,
And the Audubon Center has it in,
yeah, it's
They're
a
elaborate.
cool kind of, I mean, it's a fun thing for, you know, the public because they're really out in display and they're kind of doing all these cool things, and so that's a cool possibility that we could think about putting somewhere.
so would we need funds for this? How would we do that?
We'd have to
Yeah, we'd
Purchase
have
the-
to.
Supplies.
purchase
Yeah, we'd
the
have to purchase. We'd have to,
supplies, the materials.
and then we'd have to get some carpenters or, you know, people with tools to help us. And the other, you know, he mentioned we really need somebody that can work with metal too, because you have to put these like metal predator guards, or else, you know, raccoons will just climb up it. And
Hmm.
so,
Yeah.
but so yeah, it would take some
Do we- Can we
work,
get
but
the blueprints of it so that we could pass it around to some carpenter people and metal people to see if they'd be capable of doing it?
yeah, maybe that's a good first step.
Yeah, get them
I can do that.
enthusiastic about that.
Isn't
And maybe a
Diane's
cost,
husband a
like-
carpenter?
Mhm.
How much? What?
Is Diane's husband a carpenter?
He is. He's been informed that he may be recruited.
Yeah, we've put the feelers out a little bit. Yeah, so why don't I get plans and try to get
Budget
costs?
and time, like, is it a morning, is it 3
Yeah.
days, is it 6 weeks?
Yep.
And can we do, what scale is most appropriate, like 1 or 7?
Mm-hmm.
32? No.
Yep. The other thing they mentioned was
Fun
that
project.
for some of these houses, it's really nice if there was somebody who would sort of like gather data about how, you know, like when are they being used, when are the birds laying their clutches, when are they fledging, when are they, that sort of thing.
So maybe we could recruit some birders.
Yeah, or I mean, I was thinking it could be a good, you know, like the high school environmental science, they do, you know, various projects. This could be, you know, somebody who wants to be an ornithologist or something can gather data on this. 'Cause
Sure.
yeah, he said it's not really a birder thing because birders want to run around and see rare birds.
See,
It's like
how
a
many
science,
you
you know,
can
it's
find.
like somebody
Yeah,
wants
it's
to
the
be a
same bird over and
scientist.
over and over
Yeah.
again.
Yeah, it's like somebody
Sounds
that
more
wants
like
to
my
like.
kind of birding. You check out if
It's a
they've
great
got a home or
project.
not.
Yeah.
I think it's a great
Yeah,
project
you know,
to
it's
do,
like-
especially for the young people. I think we should approach sustainability again. I think there were a number of teachers in that group.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I
that's a
think they're a
great,
really
that's
good
great.
resource.
yeah,
Yeah.
so that's a good
this
place
could be
to,
something we could work with them on, that would be
that's a great
wonderful.
idea. Maybe they have a budget too,
At
which we don't
least
really
bigger
have.
than ours.
Yeah, at least bigger than ours. Okay, so are we ready to, Kathy, you ready to leave? Hard to believe.
Did we finish new business?
I think we finished new business.
I just wanted to
Oh,
say, I read an article today, and Connecticut leads with new housing permits for apartments in the country.
you're kidding.
No, apartments, not single family. So Connecticut leads already.
I feel like that's
Like 7,500
That's mostly New Haven.
permits have been issued in
So
Connecticut.
so
it
many
is gonna
apartments
be a question how big the demand really is,
Yeah.
cause we could overshoot it for the state, maybe not for our town. But, okay, well, we'll learn.
If everybody can stand 2 more minutes, I have another, since it was update and comments from commissioners we were going over. I just wanted to say that kind of adding to this whole thing about the conservation, Friends of Conservation and so forth, and Sharon's thing about the 490, most especially, that, the Historical Society is working on getting one of the people that are most in charge of the state registration for historic buildings to come here. And we haven't fleshed it out totally, but to probably give a talk and also work with people who have historic buildings, to help them, show them how to do it. It is nowhere near as complicated to get on the state register as it is on the national register. That one you have to hire a consultant. But this, a person
It's
in Ulmer
great.
can do it. And that is just one more tool to help preserve land, places, whatever
Yeah.
in the town.
That's
So,
great. Well, can you let us know when that is? I'd like to go to that.
yeah, we haven't, as I say, it's a brand
In
new
the
idea.
infancy.
It came out of the 27 Beecher Road, where there's not too much one can do to, I mean, there are some things we are doing to try to preserve those buildings, but,
Okay, that's
it's-
great.
It's an uphill battle. So, anyway, just thought people would like to know.
Do you wanna run this discussion?
Sure.
Thank you.
So, I think this is the first of a few discussions we'll have. You know, we hopefully read the first and second chapter, and I guess I'll just open it up. I mean, who wants to say something?
Well, I'll go out, because I didn't read I don't have the previous one. So this is just my initial read. And on a high level, you know, I only again did chapters 1 and 2. I thought, well, okay, the one bullet that struck me that said 60% of residents feel we have enough open space. And so I thought, well, I'd like to dig into that a little deeper, and what does that exactly mean? Because, you know, it's kind of a statistics thing. So that one struck me. And then other things were just learning things, like this commission put together an open space plan in 2020, maybe?
Uh-huh.
That was referred to here, and I thought, oh, as a new
We should
person
have
to the
that.
commission, I didn't know about
Actually,
it, so
Kathy?
I'll try to get
It's
that.
on our
and-
website.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's on the website.
So I have to just go
Never mind, that's
look
right.
at some of those
I
things.
thought
It's a
maybe
little confusing because the first link links to the 2017, and then later on down the website it links to the 2020.
Okay, well, that's good to know.
Which
All
was, which we should fix at some
And,
point.
I
So
think
I
that's
just
a
thought-
very questionable statement about, I noticed that too. I don't know where they got that, and I'd like to.
It really popped out to me. I'm like,
That's what we should, make a list of questions for SLR, like where did you get this? Because certainly most of the, another link says that 72% of the people value open space the most, and it was put behind the 70.2% people who value schools. And yet in the hierarchy, it was third instead of first in the list.
Oh, I didn't notice that. I
Oh.
remember seeing those percents though, but I didn't
Yeah.
notice a flip later.
Yeah, a lot of this will likely depend on how the question was asked. Was
That's
it
true.
an explicit ranking that the respondents were asked to provide? Or was it a check all of the below that you value in
Right.
Woodbridge?
Right.
So, if both numbers were in the 70s, I suspect it was not a true ranking.
Right.
Right.
Math.
Right.
But it's, yeah.
And I think at some point this is gonna come down to all of us, or some of us, or one of us, putting in questions and going line by line and making some changes. I think one of the things that I noticed was, Woodbridge public engagement for the plan consisted of community-wide survey, 2 community workshops, and public TPZ meetings throughout the plan's development. And I think it says at some point, at no time during this time was the public allowed to speak to the TP&Z. There was no public comment. So lots would occur, and then there'd be a meeting where people who hadn't seen what had occurred in people didn't watch the meeting, so they gave some input, but there was never a chance for dialogue, and especially we were asked and put hours and hours comparing 4 or 5 different POCDs of different towns to create a list of our actions, but we were never able to interact with TPZ to talk about what those actions were and what they meant and the ramifications of the actions and how they could be crafted better given what TPZ thought. So there was never a
Is that what this
interchange.
September 8th letter is? Our recommendations? Feedback and recommendations for the draft 2025.
That's when I think, when a lot of people were complaining about the TPZ and that there wasn't enough feedback. And finally, they asked for recommendations to modify it. And I don't know do you remember if that was before or after they rejected the Board of Selectmen rejected it?
We submitted this before they rejected it.
Okay. And they did make some modifications, and it did improve from the 24 version to the 25 version.
Should one exercise be going through to see what of this
That would
actually
be-
did
yes.
occur?
Yes.
Except I didn't see I don't have the old version, so I can't.
Well, there's
relate.
an old version from 2024, and then even older is the 2015
It's 15.
Oh, right,
one.
right.
That has a very different tone. It's a very much more conservation tone in general, and also it has some maps that we don't have about soil types or some of the maps were condensed. And some of the condensing I think works, and some I think is tricky. Ben, it looks like you have some thoughts.
Yeah, I mean, I do think that this is improved, but it, still has a bunch of problems, I think. I mean, one of the criticisms was that it was, of the earlier one was that it was kind of too focused on housing, and more importantly, it didn't really mesh the housing and the conservation stuff together. And so I feel like this one is a little better, so we should give them credit. I mean, there are some things that when I look at, they could improve those. So, for example, they kind of clearly talk about the housing affordability crisis, but there's no mention of the climate or biodiversity crises.
And the environmental, yeah.
Yeah.
That we might want to write.
That was actually a
Better for them.
recommendation that we had made, that there's multiple crises going on, and so we need to kind of recognize all of them. The conservation part is you know, it's pretty focused on, you know, Woodbridge as opposed to sort of like playing our part in a much larger regional and global, you know, community. Whereas the housing part, it does sort of reference those larger scales. And then, you know, some of the things are a little outdated. So for example, they have this NDDB map, natural diversity and critical habitat areas. So the country club is actually now an NDDB critical
So that's
area.
critical that that gets put on there.
Yeah, so if, I mean, I just went and looked at the website, and you can actually see them right there. You know, there's two kind of bubbles from species that have been identified there. And then a bunch of it was sort of, I mean, I had a bunch of thoughts around the open space definitions, and I think some of this actually goes back to the definitions that we have in the open space plan, which are not completely coherent in my mind.
I agree with that.
You know, so on our, anyway, there's kind of this concept of open space, but then there's this concept of protected open space, and the definition it defines open space as protected, but then, you know, I don't think that's how people think about it, and then it refers to, you know, open space that's unprotected in the document. So, you know, it's just sort of like, I think some of that is like, we have to kind of maybe think about that
I
and
agree,
clean
that
that
was
up a little
very
bit.
No, and that is-
unclear language
Yeah.
at best.
Yeah, it's sort of like
Yeah.
doesn't, it's kind of just a little
And
bit
that's a-
sloppy.
That particular thing is something that is a really difficult problem, because most people, highest majority of people, feel that open space means protected space, and it absolutely does not. And it, and I think they need to make an emphasis that there is a difference.
Yeah, it looks like they tried to do that because they, in our plan, you know, it was written protected. They distinguished protected open space from open land. So I think they tried, but I don't think
I think it could be much more clarified with percentages too.
Yeah, and some of the percentages I wasn't quite sure where they came from.
Yeah, like 37%. I mean, that's what Jeff Kennedy asked me. I don't know how they got 37%, because in the past POCD, it was like 20%. So where they recalculated, and in the past when there was a grid of that would be helpful in this one too, of open space. That's not the right word, but there's water company property that of two different characteristics. There's some that's protected and there's some that could be sold. I think this is right, but they have to give the town the right of first refusal. And I also sort of take issue, sort of like you're saying, but not quite what you're saying, but you know, we're supporting the biodiversity of a large region. We're being credited in part with this open space that's the water, the water shed of, that serves, I think it said 430,000 people. So, but because it's quite a few acres, we're saying we have plenty of open space. Well, that open space is really on our land, but it's not bringing us any money or resources, but it's helping all of the area equally. So that, I feel like, yes, it's our open space, but that's not the developable space that we should
think
have
that's-
included as what we've protected.
Right.
And I also think there's a certain thing of, well, you've protected a lot, so you don't need more. And the state, at least previously, felt like there was a goal that was higher than the amount we have. And we're also creating the
In terms of protected space.
Yes, and the biosphere of our environment, you know, the greater environment, it's a good thing that we have a little more open space, because we are actually providing oxygen and watershed. And so I think, to your point, that a paragraph about our benefit to the Scrog community, you know, Scrog is Southern Connecticut, should be acknowledged and give us some, not quite a pass, but the goal isn't to develop it all. We do need
Right.
plants to survive. And I think that's the whole emphasis is, well, anything that isn't being used is potential economic and the whole forgetting that we're on this planet and we eat this food and we need a planet that's functional to survive gets kind of undocumented. And I think there could be even a very explicit paragraph about that, like, you know,
The-
we don't
the
exist
decision to
without an
develop
environment.
Is not a,
What?
not a zero sum.
Say that again?
The decision to develop, it's not going from an empty lot to a developed lot. It's taking something away from that lot in order to bring something in.
Exactly, and I think that is
Yeah,
our
and-
role to communicate, because I don't think even people think of it that way these days, and it's to all of our detriment. I mean,
Yeah, I mean, New Haven needs our open space just as much as we do.
Exactly,
So,
exactly.
you know,
I mean, just like we need the marshes of Guilford
Mhm.
just as much as they do, more, you know. There aren't borders here that are,
No, I would agree, because I think in thinking back to the inland wetlands meeting a couple of sessions ago when the two people from New Haven spoke about it was the Fountain Street, but it was about, New Haven and space and housing and whatever, but I think the stronger point is you need the space that we have that is allowing that water to flow down and
Right,
uh-huh.
they need to leave it open up here so they can get their water and so
Right.
forth down there.
So, and, but I think looking into these graphs a little bit better, I looked at this a few weeks ago, which has the graphs in it, and then I saw how it's been consolidated, and some of it I think is making it much more approachable, but some of it still kind of has the housing centricity to it.
so the other question I had was some of their maps, I was confused about how they're treating the country club and the Fitzgerald property differently.
Uh-huh.
I mean, do
You have a
those,
color map, so I
do
did.
those
Fitzgerald
have,
got called a park, right?
yeah, so do,
Actually, it
Barbara,
wasn't in this thing,
did you
though.
get
It
do
wasn't
those
called
actually
this.
have different land use
Country-
classes or whatever? So,
Off
yeah,
the
for some
website?
reason,
Oh, I didn't see that.
Country Club has been called Bacon,
Under.
whereas the Fitzgerald Club is tracked as a park.
No, it's
So, I mean,
it's got
but-
its own.
Really? That's
I
interesting.
don't think Fitzgerald has a, you know, I was just confused about what underlying data they were using to make those different.
Well, especially when they
classifications.
talked about parks, they didn't talk about Fitzgerald.
Yeah, there's a Parks, Recreation, and Open Space where they include Fitzgerald. They call it municipally managed, but they don't include the Country Club in there, which I mean,
Is now,
that's also municipally managed.
Yes.
So I'm not sure if there's. I'm just curious if there's different kind of data that they're using to, you know, so.
but I also want to just say that in one place it's considered a park, and then when they talk about parks, they didn't talk about it as a park, which I think is an important distinction in making it
Which-
consistent. But I'm trying to find out where that was.
Fitzgerald.
Yeah. Shoot.
They talked about which is a park.
They talked about Alice Newton as a park, but they didn't talk about Fitzgerald as a park.
But
They
Ben's-
talked about
Ben's saying that
Elderslie
on-
as a park.
on one of the maps.
But on the map, they
it's-
did.
But
it-
on the map, they called it a park?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I didn't catch that one.
One map they call it a park, another one they just call it municipally managed. On the parks map,
They call it a
it's just
park.
called municipally managed. So we're not sure what that means, but anyway, yeah, that seemed like kind of an inconsistency that I was wondering about.
Also, I think it gets a little tricky. One of the other maps showed, well, first of all, in the 2015 one, they projected the population of Woodbridge to decrease significantly, and now they're saying it's staying the same. So, I mean, they were worried about the decrease, and that's one reason they were pushing for more housing.
Well,
But
and
if it's,
I have to say, I looked at that and looked at the use of percents, and I thought, it's like, and there's 9 more of whatever this type
Uh-huh.
of person was, and I thought, really? We're gonna call that a trend? I mean, all you have to do is have two families move out and we're
Yeah.
9 less. I just, that
Exactly.
was very, I thought that was really potentially manipulated data that didn't make
Yeah, the
sense to
general
me.
use of numbers was questionable in a lot of areas.
Yeah, and then population changes across age groups, and it looks like the youth to 19 age group, the adult age group, and the older than adult age group are bigger. But the truth is, the young adult age group is only 15 years or 14 years, where the other age group is 20 years. In the senior group, people aren't gonna live that long, so it almost makes it seem like they all could just be about equal. This is on page 16. So I just felt like if you're gonna compare age groups, you should compare 0 to 20, 20 to, 40, 40 to 60, 60 to, to get an accurate sense of it.
And it also included the time of COVID and, very weird things happened to populations. So it also said that there are more, whatever it was, 20 to 25-year-olds or something. And I'm thinking, yeah, because
Yeah, right.
quote
Everyone
unquote
was home
kids
and-
moved back with their
Right.
parents. And so, yes, they were here.
Yeah.
They can't
their
afford to buy a
schools shut
house here
down
though,
and-
so they're,
Right.
they're not gonna stay here unless they stay with their parents. So it just seemed like there was too much potential for those numbers really being meaningless.
Well, and also I found something that hasn't been emphasized enough, but I thought is kind of nice, is that it seems like on page 17 that there is a significant amount more diversity in this town than there was 10 years ago,
Oh, yes.
with Asian population and black population and less white and more. So, I know we have this lawsuit that I don't really know much about, but I'm glad to see that in actuality, our town is has a more breadth of humanity being represented. So it may not have economic variety as much as it could, but.
So just sort of moving on to the development section. So this was kind of interesting because it actually had some hard numbers on how many housing units we have and how many affordable units we have.
What page is
Yeah.
that?
So 3,500 units it says, and 40
Ben, can you
40
say
of
what
them.
page that
Oh.
you're on?
Page 41.
Okay.
So I just, continuing something I kind of talked about last time, given those numbers I modeled out, very simply on a spreadsheet, if we went with these 30%, so let's say we had, 30% apartment complexes come in, how many would we need in order to hit 10%? Right, so the issue is that every time you add, 30 units, you're actually adding 70 units to our denominator,
Right.
right?
Right.
So if every time a 100-unit complex came in, 30 of them were affordable, 30%, we would need 16 of them to reach our 10%.
Meaning
And
1,600
we need
units.
3 new Beecher
Is that
School,
true?
road schools.
Yeah, our units would go from 3,500 to 5,100. So it's a 45% increase in the number of units in town. Now, I also looked at how many Fountain Streets would we need. I think that was 98 units and 12
Yeah.
affordable. We would need 141 of them. It would increase our overall housing stock by 400%
So it
to
makes it
17,000
very
units.
clear.
Craven wrote a whole article about,
Yeah,
So-
Sheila Craven wrote an article about that.
Sheila wrote
Yeah,
about that
so
very thing.
I mean, kind of what this tells me is like, we're clearly not going to get to this percentage by building Fountain Streets.
Right, or
so
even by Beecher Roads, we're gonna get to it by creating small units in a cluster and get 5 here and 10 there.
yeah, we really need to find some way to add units that doesn't add to our denominator, or
Right.
add as little as possible to our denominator.
Also, we were informed
that the 55 and over units were finally given credit.
Where, down at,
Yes, that was discussed, that they were given 0.5.
so all
Final.
those Bradley Road units are being given
The
0.5?
ones for all, there's about 30 of them, the newly built 55 and over, because they're seniors. And so we're getting credit towards that number for the 830G. So remember, there's two different bills. And the new housing bill hasn't come out yet with what we have to do yet. It hasn't come out, it hasn't said 10%. It hasn't given, as far as I know, they have not given us the number yet.
Yeah, I think
It's the
this is
830G bill.
Yeah, this is 830G. Yeah.
That is that they want the 10%. And, but the new housing bill, though, it could be a regional thing. It doesn't have to be Woodbridge. We'd have to start
Right.
thinking,
Norwegian.
I'm not thinking the way you think by having all these units. I'm thinking that it should be more, or it could be more of a regional thing, and it's not SCROG. What was the other word? COG? That was being used, and so we're aligned with Hamden and New Haven. Not Seymour, though. So it could be more of a regional thing. It doesn't have to be Woodbridge doing all of this.
Right.
We just have to think differently.
So should our POCD allude to the resources that Woodbridge provides to the region?
Yes. I think so, why not? I mean,
Yeah.
I think it's, what do you think, Ben? I mean, I think,
Yeah, I mean, I think we have a lot of open space, and we have to because most of it is pavement other places.
Right.
You know?
Right.
And you know, we provide a lot of ecosystem services and
we're,
you know, benefits and
yeah.
Sure, what did COG stand for? I know it's COG.
Council of Governments.
Council,
Okay.
that's right.
Good point.
I also, so they have a bunch of kind of excerpts from the Affordable Housing Plan. So
Which is now moot.
Right.
I've heard different things. I've heard it's still in effect, but it will be superseded, or I've heard it's moot.
I think
So you know,
some
I'm
people
not
have said
really
it's
sure.
moot, pretty clearly,
Yeah. So
some lawyers.
well, I would believe the lawyers.
But maybe that's something to find out, and maybe TPZ is not clear about that either.
And they kind of have some language that, so on page 44, you know, they have this following specific actions are highlighted in the Affordable Housing Plan. You know, some of these are not bad. You know, the first one, you know, actively encourage development of smaller dwellings to improve the housing mix, including affordable housing. I think that's great. And then for some reason, they narrow it to two specific groups. You know, just older residents and younger people and in-town workers. But, you know, I'm not sure why they just focus on those groups, or maybe these are supposed to be examples or
I
something,
thought
but
that was strange too.
it was kind of weird that they really,
Yes.
you know, I feel like it should be, you know, more people, more groups should benefit.
So part of that might be that, and I don't know this for sure, but I could imagine that some of the resistance to affordable housing is that it introduces to our community individuals that people don't want part of our community. And so by defining affordable housing for people that are easier to imagine being part of being our neighbors, could be part of that strategy.
Interesting.
Yeah.
I'm not saying that it's right.
Yeah.
But I agree that it is a very laser focused
I know
example.
maybe Mika also has, and I haven't gotten this information, being close to this demographic myself these days, but that people who are lived here their whole, or much of their lives don't wanna have to leave, and so if they could downsize. So I think the problem with that is that, I mean, I just don't know really sure how big that demand is, that people who live here would like to downsize and stay here. I think they often wanna move to a warmer climate or move to where their kids are, so, but I think that might have been part of where that came from.
Where it came from.
Can you, I couldn't hear what you said, could you repeat what you said?
Maybe. So, I've been trying to wrap my head around this NIMBYism, the not in my backyard resistance to a lot of different types of development. And in the context of affordable housing, part of it is that we value our open space, and if there's an apartment building there, it's not going to be open anymore. Another aspect of that development is that it has the potential to change the character of the neighborhood in terms of who is living here. And so the example that was just brought up was a specific subset of individuals who would benefit from affordable housing that the authors may have perceived are folks that Woodbridge residents would like to be neighbors with.
Young people and older people who, yeah. Well, I hope that isn't conscious. I hope that isn't the real
Oh,
thing.
I suspect it likely isn't.
Uh-huh.
And I think that a lot of the motivations of NIMBYism aren't conscious.
You know, it's
And I think that's
probably
something
not, kind of probably getting a little off topic with this.
I'm sure we are.
You know, like, I think, you know, I think maybe it's just enough to say that this, you know, I perceive this as somewhat limiting language, you know, so, you know, maybe that's a suggestion that we make, that it should be a little more open. But maybe we could keep going. So the next one was around utilizing town-owned properties with public water. So, I mean, the issue here is that they specifically say high-density housing, which is also, you know, pretty inconsistent with
Everything
you know,
else.
conservation values, and you know, so maybe if they had just said affordable housing, that's, you know, consistent with, you know, zoning or whatever, that would be. So I'm not sure why they go for high density housing kind of everywhere.
Can you say the page you're on again?
This is page 44. You know, and then the next one, they say they want to support the expansion of sewer and water infrastructure. Whereas the previous one, they just said anywhere there's public sewer and water, we want high density housing, and then they say increase the expansion of sewer and water. So basically increase the expansion of high density housing where there's not even sewer.
Which I want to just say is directly opposed to the open space value that people value most in the entire town. So I think that was a lot of the thrust of the momentum of the housing committee previously. And I think to re-examine that is a very good idea, because it won't get us to the, from your very own statistics, it won't get us to the affordable housing goals that we want. And in another part of this, it says,
I mean,
you know,
unless they're all affordable,
yes, unless they're all affordable.
but then you're sort of destroying the environment to get there. Where
And also,
I think there's
then
other
you're
ways to do it.
creating an other kind of environment that I don't think integrates people into the community the way we would maybe, we'd like people living here to have the quality of life that we enjoy, so we'd like to share that with other people, even if it's an affordable housing situation. But, I mean, I think it's really key that that's really just what most people don't want, and it's not necessarily a solution that fits any of the criteria, and that's a much better solution for an already densely populated place, and that what we can offer is smaller, affordable houses, or, you know, whatever, yeah.
But
I
the
think-
point is that people move here because they don't wanna be part
Right.
of that. And then to move here and then to become part of that is just
Part of-
inconsistent with the whole value of the town.
Right, so we'd like to do our part to create affordable houses without destroying what, I mean, if you move to the coast, you wouldn't want it to become inland all of a sudden,
Right.
right? You
Right.
really want the benefit of the coast, and you pay the price and you pay higher taxes because you, I don't really know, but I just think that, I
Mhm.
really agree that that is not,
Yeah, so I
That's
don't know
a
if they're
leap.
just gonna take all this out because this, housing plan is moot now, or,
Yeah.
what's gonna happen with it. I mean, the next one, this is, additional requirements. I mean, I think this is kind of okay. It depends on what and where, this is very,
can you say
Go ahead.
where you are again?
I'm on the 1, 2, 3, fourth one. Zoning regulations to prevent multifamily housing. Further examine its requirements to find additional opportunities to increase and diversify housing production. So, that sounds good, but it kind of depends on what and where.
And also another part of this says that, Woodbridge had a lot of development earlier, it sort of used a lot of its, within its zoning, it's used a lot of its acreage, and it really kind of insinuates that it isn't really appropriate for it to be a place where lots of new houses are built. And just to add, the population of Connecticut hasn't changed, so I would see that differently if there was another 300,000 people that just moved into Connecticut, but given that that isn't the case, it's a little bit harder argument for them to have.
I like to approach what,
Is this a housing
Like,
thing?
well, what
I
he
think
said,
it's a-
Michael said.
I think we should probably table that for now,
Yeah.
Yeah.
actually.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So, yeah, let's just, maybe we could just get through this and see if anybody has anything else. So, I think the naturally affordable thing is okay, and then the last one, where they should support construction or conversion of buildings in the commercial district to mixed use, that's a big yes to me. So, not all of these are bad, but I think there are some issues with some of them, big issues with them.
And I think Mika is trying to ascertain places in the transit area that could be developable and approaching some of those people. And I think that's proactive in a way that might help our town when this new ruling comes and there's 9 units that we don't have a lot of say. If we've already kind of identified places and it could make it less
Yeah,
random.
my feeling is that the town previously was sort of only looking at town-owned properties because they could actually build on them or whatever, but,
Could do something.
and that's sort of the only land that they were looking at that was like buildable, but there's lots of privately owned, lots, parking lots or something in the business district that, could possibly be built on.
Yeah, I've heard that even brought up recently, that, there's not enough down on the flats, there's not enough publicly owned property to make any difference. Like, no private owner is gonna do anything or change anything. That's the,
I feel like when the price is right, they will,
yeah. Yeah.
Long Island City, they're knocking down buildings and building skyscrapers, so,
Mhm.
New
it
Haven.
depends on the, yeah, New Haven, they're doing
Yeah.
it, so, depends on the economics. And, okay, cool, so, I just want to say one more thing, and then I won't say anything else. This is something that we brought up in the sewer and water infrastructure. Page 54, they have this existing sewer line that goes, down to the old country club. We now know that that's essentially not an existing sewer line because it's completely non-functional and has to be rebuilt based on the master plan. So, this probably shouldn't be represented this way.
Is that red line that just goes down?
Yeah. And then,
Well, I think especially the whole idea of that sewer and water should be put wherever it can be is something that I think is fundamentally distressing to lots of people in the
So-
community. And
Did it say, My recollection, of course, in reading was that it said that whoever owns whatever the sewer organization is has no intentions of expanding.
That can
Was there
change.
writing that said
But it's
we
giving
want them to
Yeah,
expand it?
in the master plan, that's something the town is supposed to undertake before they sell it to a developer. That was the recommendation, is that the town puts the bill or, you know, gets a grant or works with whoever to fix that sewer line so that there are sewer lines there.
You're talking about the one that's already
Country
was
club.
existing that has,
Yeah,
is
the old
defunct.
broken one, yeah.
But I think even more than that, that if the right price occurred, and I don't really know the economics of it, that sewer and water would be, that you can inspire people to do sewer and water if, I guess I'm not saying this well, but I guess I don't like the emphasis in a conservation concept to be creating more sewer and water distribution because it allows for very high density growth, which I don't think supports the environment and it doesn't get us to our affordable housing unit goal anyway. So I don't know how other people feel about that, but it would be, and there might be one or two places, but the idea to make it a carte blanche for the whole District A seems pretty radical. The other thing that I would like to see here is, at what point do we say there's enough? You know, like, I would think that we're encouraging, you know, 100 units over the next 10 years, and it may have said it somewhere, but when it says, you know, we want sewer and water wherever it can be, it doesn't say, until we get to a place where we've, you know, saturated the market and don't.
Yeah, that was actually a big point that I was thinking about, was that there's not evidence that this is required, you know? Like, I think if we're gonna radically change the environment, we have to be really sure there's no other way to do it. And I've never seen any sort of, you know, I've never seen any planning to show there's no way this won't fit into the business district, or there's no way we can't do this with low density development, or there's no, you know, it's like, it seems like they've just, you know, this plan has just sort of like jumped immediately to, it's gotta be high density everywhere, but there's no evidence that that's required. And so, you know, I mean, the town's doing a lot of planning right now, so I hope that once they do that planning, they can realize, oh, we actually don't need to build, 16 27 Beecher roads around town. We can do it in a more thoughtful way. So that's what, I'm hoping that that's gonna be the case.
I also don't know if there was a plan to build, and this is a little more housing, I would think that there might be a recommendation that there should be this much space for people to play in and this much space for a clubhouse, you know, like, it just seems short-sighted if you were gonna be building high-density places not to require amenities that make it a lovely place to live. Not that I want it to be bigger and more sprawling and take more land, but there should be a certain baseline of how the outcome might benefit the people that live there more than just being developed.
All right,
So this is a beginning go.
yeah, was there anything else anybody wanted to throw in? We should wrap this up. Everyone's getting tired or energized, I'm not sure.
So I guess what's the next step of maybe writing more concisely what we think could change and a suggestion of how it might be improved? I mean, like, that idea of biodiversity and helping, you know, the general environment, and I think we should get better at the statistics, like 37% doesn't quite ring true, or 60%, like you said, people think there's enough open space. So maybe I'll try to look through the
Yeah, but what
data
is
more.
open space?
Yeah,
Maybe if everybody could individually write down some of your comments, I mean, it could be just bullet points, and then next meeting we could put them all together and then have discuss
Yeah,
the next.
yeah.
I think the other thing that might be good for people to look at is the actions way in the back. I looked through them and there's lots of things I think Conservation Commission should be added to, and maybe sustainability could be added to. It's page 110, where does it start? It starts on section 7, implementation.
By the way, Coopop did exactly that at one of their meetings
Good.
a while back.
Yeah, so, I have
Or
a,
taken off of as
yeah,
a little bit.
Maybe we could jump to that as the next section for review.
yeah,
Sure.
I
Is
think that,
the implementation.
Okay.
I think us being aware of what we wanna implement is also good, like scenic roads, and especially you guys who haven't been, just look at the goals so that we can cultivate that.
Yeah, 'cause that might be, this might be a bit of tail wagging the dog, that if we have a clear objective for what implementation we would like to see, then the framing should be appropriate for those objectives.
Good thinking, good thinking. Okay, so we're doing the POCD again next time, and should we do a little bit of PA 490, or should we put that off?
Well, do you want to do the Massaro thing maybe?
Yep.
Maybe we could do the Massaro
Okay,
thing,
so
or
we'll put off PA 490
I don't
for a
know,
little bit.
unless you think
No,
PA is more important.
no, well, I think it fits into the open space concept, then maybe in a month or two we can deal with the open space more
Yeah.
as you get more educated and I get more but I might send a few pages of this around to people just to look at.
Yeah, I'd be surprised if that wasn't like a PDF you could download.
I'm sure it is. For people. Here, do you wanna look at it so you can get a sense of what it, if you can find it? Do we wanna adjourn?
I'll second that.
I didn't make the motion.
I'll
Okay.
It's really second forward. This meeting.
Barbara and Michael, we should probably tell.